I caught my first salmon when I was 11. At that time, I wouldn't have even known what catch and release was. I was quite reliant on my mum. So I looked at her to see whether she had any opinion on it. She said, "It's totally your choice." I paused for a little bit longer and I looked at the fish. And then I just decided in the moment that I would let it go. Still to this day, it's one of my favourite moments, seeing that fish just rush off back into the river.
Wild Atlantic salmon hatch out of their eggs in the springtime, and they're incredibly vulnerable. They go through various life stages in fresh water, and then they'll live in our rivers for a couple of years, feeding on invertebrates, insects. And then they go through an amazing bodily transformation to prepare them for life at sea. It's one of nature's great migration stories. The story of wild Atlantic salmon.
Is that you or Marcus?
Me. That's
Okay.
definitely a girl.
I need my glasses.
Wow.
Who's that? Oh, yes.
It's funny how most people have a fishing story. It could be fly fishing, but it also could be fishing with worms or maggots or spinning. Everyone's got a fishing story.
In the school holidays, when they were really quite young, Marina and her brother, I thought, what can I do with them today? Oh, yeah, we'll go fishing.
That's nice. Do you want a tail? I like that, actually.
Fishing was the constant through my life. I found it at a time when I needed it, and it was as loyal to me as I was to it. The most poignant moment is when the fish lands in your net. You're looking down at something that has traveled thousands of miles, and you get to be the one who intercepts the fish, probably for the last time before it spawns. Salmon fishing is more about right place, right time, luck, getting your fly in front of an aggressive fish. And that's why people become so obsessed with them, because it's a hard fish to read, a hard fish to catch. But then when you catch one, you feel like a king or queen, because you've just cracked the code on that day.
Thank you so much!
You're very welcome.
Oh my goodness!
This is 15 minutes of glory, if it works out.
Stefan is a freak of nature when it comes to fishing. He's like an encyclopedia of fishing.
Two things take my mind away more than anything, and that's cutting my grass and salmon fishing, because both are to some extent very mindless exercises that are incredibly repetitive.
When I met Stefan, it was all up in the air. Anything could happen next month. And he likes that, and I like that too. And so, yeah, we're a good match. Both of us are so obsessed with Atlantic salmon that we decided to venture north, and we were already coming up to the Tyne quite a bit. Every time we came up here, we had the best time, and so we thought, let's give it a go. Bywell is on the main Tyne, and the salmon will come into the Tyne mouth through Newcastle and then get to Bywell, and then they'll either go north or south, and then some will stay in the main Tyne.
After a couple of years in our rivers, young wild Atlantic salmon head out to sea for the next stage of their journey.
Well, it's been on a long time. I don't think they've been in the water for about 6 years now, so.
In the 1 to 3 years that they'll spend in the ocean, wild Atlantic salmon from here will take such an amazing journey all the way across the North Atlantic as far as Greenland.
We've got a lot of work to do, so we have called reinforcements, which is my dad, you know.
And what better person, he's taught us everything I know. Probably just scrape all this old crappy varnish off.
I think that's screwed down the mat.
Yeah, it should just pull up. Yeah. This is a real old traditional salmon angler's boat. You know, strong built, lovely timber.
A ghillie is someone who is employed year-round by a fishery to maintain the beat and to be the eyes on the river. You know, when something is happening, they're the first one to see it. Stephen's job is pretty intense. He's got 5 people to look after every day. He is going around and he is giving every single one a lot of time.
Other than that, you guys know what you're doing. The guys quite enjoy a relaxed morning sitting on the boat, you know, a couple of cups of coffee and dry legs all morning. You're not standing in the cold water. There's just been something in my head that I can't go and do anything else but fish, you know, I have to be on the river. Where have I been? Everything else in my life suffers because of fishing. I'm my own worst enemy for it. I've fished the Tyne my whole life. I never wanted to be anywhere else, even as a child, you know, I loved the river. I think where we are now, you know, salmon are classed as endangered. There has to be something done about, you know, the cleanliness of your rivers these salmon are encountering.
Wild Atlantic salmon need simple ingredients to thrive. What we do in our river systems, in our freshwater environment is really important, and we can influence their ability to complete their ocean migration successfully. So if we give them that start in life that they need, if we give them cold, clean water, if we give them an environment where they can find food and shelter and cover from predators as well, if we can give them that, we can send them out on that ocean journey in peak condition. Richie Miller leads a team of researchers and biologists on the River Devon. The approach is to put science into action on the ground.
We tag 2,000 Atlantic salmon each year with what is known as pit tags. These are small tags that are inserted into the fish. Doesn't do them any harm. I use this kit to gently stun the fish to allow Marcus to net the fish, and then Jess to transfer it to the bucket.
That'll go onto an overall database. We can then use that as a baseline to get an understanding of what the juvenile salmon in the river, the state of them at the moment, and as they work their way down the river onto the receivers at the far end, and then hopefully when they return, we'll have an understanding of how they've grown in that time period, the numbers that have left and the numbers that have returned.
The work that is happening now may not have an immediate payoff, but the hope is that it can for future generations. Without this partnership, we couldn't do what we're trying to do. The final stage of the Wild Atlantic Salmon life story is all about the journey home. They navigate all the way back across the North Atlantic, right to the river, and quite often the exact spot that they were born in.
I started off as a river bailiff and sea patrols, patrolling for nets at sea, illegal fishing, then moved on to ghillieing. I then thought that capturing them on film would be difficult when you've caught a lot on rod and line, and I thought, well, let's try and do it on film. These small rivers in the far north of Scotland, they're further away from big populations of people. You know, we've driven up here now many miles, not a single house, no real agriculture. So you can sense there's things living in there and moving, even before, but you wouldn't have known if you'd walked along, perhaps. It's hard to put it concisely because it is such a vast life. Like some birds fly to South America from the UK, but they're still in the air, and they're not having to go into a different type of environment. So these things do it all. It's kind of meditative. You spend hours and hours and hours hoping to get a shot, just like fishermen trying to catch a fish. And when you do, it's fantastic, but what's even better is you can share it with the world. There's probably around 100 salmon in this pool. And they'll all be concentrated in a small area. They kind of bunch up. That's one of the things you learn when you film them. You think they're spread out everywhere, but you'll find there's big bunches of them in certain places. It's a never-ending vocation because always nature does something spectacular if you wait long enough.
The role Richard plays in wild Atlantic salmon conservation is a really important one, and it's about how he captures this amazing animal so that we can communicate to a much wider public why wild Atlantic salmon restoration matters.
So much is lost because of ignorance. People would do something about a lot of things if they knew it was happening. So it's only when you know it's happening that you will stand up and fight.
The angling community is at the heart of efforts to restore wild Atlantic salmon. They're the boots on the ground, the eyes and the ears on our rivers getting stuff done.
Anglers have stopped killing salmon virtually completely. The vast majority, which are caught and released safely, go back to spawn.
Some people, they don't understand why we do it. We do it to preserve and conserve. Fishing isn't just about catching the fish. Oh, I'm so excited. Because it's different when you see something like this in the flesh.
And this is, people don't get to see this. This is the original cast of tiniest fish.
The brown wing killer. That is crazy. A lot of the time we're fishing with tiny, tiny flies. And that is huge. This fish was caught by tiny Morison on the lower shore Mount Blairy beat on the Devon in 1924, and it is a whopping 61 pounds.
There's not a better representation, really, of the ultimate wild Atlantic salmon and how incredible a creature they are than seeing a specimen like this.
And 100 years later, no one expected this record to still be standing. I think when Tiny caught this fish, she probably would have thought, and a lot of people would have thought, that this would have been broken.
What the goal is for Project Devon, long term, is we want to take action in the catchment now so that in the future the river can produce amazing wild Atlantic salmon like this again.
No.
Fish on.
Fish on? Oh shit.
Nick, fish on with Stefan.
Stefan just caught an Atlantic salmon, which created great excitement. We managed to get the salmon on a traditional single hook Victorian salmon fly called the brown wing killer.
It does feel like, the hummingbird with a drop of water in the rainforest fire sometimes, but I think things are changing. I'm optimistic that all these big projects are starting to happen now.
There are so many incredible people working together on finding solutions to the salmon crisis. Maybe my children and grandchildren will be able to walk along a riverbank and see the payoff.
There's no better pair than Marina and Stefan to bring this on. They are full steam ahead.
This river is the very example of something that's been brought back from the dead.
I think we're quite lucky that we have salmon in our backyard. We get to fish for them, but we also get to monitor and protect them.
Salmon fishing holds me in the moment. It's just a beautiful waste of time.